So welcome to Uncensored Conservatism. This is episode 271, and we're about halfway through the year, and what a year it's been so far. So let's look at the top 10 goofy Democrats of the year thus far, starting here at number 10, where we have a tie, starting with Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen. He, you may remember, is a huge fan of Kilmer Abrego Garcia, who's an illegal immigrant from El Salvador who was living in Maryland. Garcia was deported to that country, although he's been described in the press as just a regular old Maryland dad. This caused a big legal kerfuffle where some judge ordered the Trump administration to expedite his return to the United States so he could be afforded some due process, even though he had due process previous. Problem is, he's in a prison in El Salvador, and they basically told this judge to go screw himself. Enter Van Hollen, who flew into El Salvador to enjoy some margaritas with the accused member of a violent street gang called MS-13. Regardless, Van Hollen returned to the United States empty-handed with no Garcia in tow. It was all just some theater. And speaking of theater, Van Hollen is tied at number 10 with New Jersey Senator Cory Booker. And what was his great feat? Well, he gave some speech on the floor of the Senate that lasted something like 25 hours or something like that. I mean, does anyone even remember what that speech was about? Does anybody even remember the speech? See, this was all theater. It was not a filibuster since it blocked no legislation. It was just some dimwit New Jersey senator babbling on about God knows what. And I defy you to tell me what was in that speech. But the left and the Democrats, that makes Cory Booker a hero or something. And here he is engaged in a sit-in on the steps of the Capitol with Hakeem Jeffries, who looks like he's with MS-13. So at number 9 is the DNC Vice Chair, David Hogg. So Hogg is this little punk from Florida whose claim to fame was hiding in a closet during some school shooting down there in Florida. And that got him admitted to Harvard, where he just basically ran his mouth and started some gun control group or something. Now, the little pussy is a vice chair with the DNC, but he's wrangling some feathers there, stirring up challengers against incumbents, which is not the job of the DNC. Supposedly, he was chosen as some outreach to disaffected male voters who voted for Trump. If you want to be a pussy punk, by all means, engage his reach out. At number 8 is two-time loser Hillary Clinton. Yay, what a face. It's hard to believe that the Lady Dowager of Chappaqua hasn't just retired to the friendly confines of her mansion and grifted off of the Clinton Foundation. This is a woman seriously broken over her 2016 loss to Donald Trump. Can you imagine being Hillary Clinton? She lost not only to Donald Trump, but her own party rejected her in 2008 for this do-nothing Illinois senator, yet she just won't go away quietly. And just recently, she suggested that you screw up your Memorial Day barbecue to confront family members who may have voted for Trump. And this poor Bill Clinton. Can you imagine waking up to this dried-up old skank of a husk of a human life every morning? No wonder he screws anything in a dress other than Hillary. Speaking of two-time losers, at number 7 is the infamous Kamala Harris. Now, she not only managed to lose the party's nomination in 2020 to an actual human corpse named Joe Biden, then she too lost the presidential race to Donald Trump. So maybe Hillary and Kamala should go on tour together. So what she's up to lately? Well, she did recently attend a conference in Australia about real estate. And it's everything you'd expect from this retard. Plenty of cackles and word salads and people being unburdened by what has been. She's so broken or drunk. She thinks she's still campaigning or something. But she's from California, and there's a gubernatorial election coming up. So don't count Kamala out just yet. the nation may just be further burdened by what has been, and she is a has-been. And what can you say about Minnesota Congress critter Ilhan Omar that her brother, who she married, hasn't already said? This Somali-born piece of shit continues to spew anti-Semitic rhetoric. Recently, when asked for her reaction to 2 Israeli embassy workers being killed in cold blood in Washington, D.C., Omar told the asking reporter to fuck off. Now, there's a soundbite for you. You know how bad this bitch is? This guy, James Carville, himself a nutcase, suggested that she should leave the Democratic Party. When the crazy think you are too crazy, chances are you're beyond redemption crazy. And by the way, I often wonder whether she has hair or not under that rag on her head. And number 5, and a warning so don't get freaked out, is Rosa DeLauro, a representative from Connecticut, and it ain't only her bizarre looks that land her here. I mean, that you've heard of the phrase goblin or hobgoblin? There it is. Okay, God, she should be living under a bridge or something, taking on Billy Goose. She looks suspiciously like Perry Farrell, himself a nutcase, but, you know. I mean, this hag is 82 years old, so what's with the blue lesbian hair? I mean, look at that face. And she clearly believes she's some kind of TikTok influencer with the bizarre videos trying to establish some kind of street cred or something. Yeah, no, honey. No, grandma. You're just fucking weird. Jesus Christ. Why put that face out there in public? All right, Chuck Schumer. Here, he comes in at number 4, and this is kind of tough when you're the leader of the Democrats and the minority in the Senate. You kind of have to have some sympathy for the guy, but not really. So the guy was at the center of the cover-up of Joe Biden's cognitive issues. He's defended members of the House from New Jersey when they broke into an ICE detention facility in Newark, which is some shithole city. He had to capitulate to Trump on a continuing resolution in order to avoid a government shutdown, which really pissed off a lot more Democrats. Even in liberal New York, his favorability rating has sunk from 73% in December 2024 to 52% today. And he's suddenly become a big fan of the Supreme Court, even though he threatened them not too long ago. So, yeah, Chuck, you deserve no sympathy. Sorry, pal. Well, there is a case that Jasmine Crockett, a Congress thing from Texas, should be at the top of the list, but she comes in at number 3 this year so far, despite all her craziness. I mean, this is one crazy bitch whose mouth provides fodder for conservatives. And I don't understand why an upper middle class raised woman with a law degree, yes, she has a law degree, feels the need to talk like ghetto trash. It seems kind of racist to me, but maybe that's just me. She blamed Kamala's loss in 2024 on black men because of Harris's record prosecuting marijuana offenders, which I guess she assumes all are black men, which again seems kind of racist to me. But again, that's just me. Meanwhile, she's under investigation for campaign finance, and she managed to disparage the wheelchair-bound governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, by calling him Governor Hot Wheels. She got into it with Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, who is likewise handicapped, so to speak. This is a woman trying to out-stupid the most stupid of the Democrats, and all the more power to her. Which brings me to number 2. The worst bartender from the Bronx, the infamous horse-toothed Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, here's a woman running around the country with a failed communist and Bernie Sanders, wearing them, whoa, look at them sexy mom jeans there. And in private jets, spewing those nasty greenhouse gases. But it's worth the effort to take down that non-existent oligarchy, right? And why, like Crockett, does she have to adopt the weird accents depending on the area she visits? I mean, didn't Kamala Harris learn a lesson from that. But look out, Chucky in New York, because you might be in her sights. And at number one, you just knew it had to be Tim Walz, that self-professed knucklehead governor from Minnesota who was Kamala's weird running mate in 2024. And so far this year, he's compared ICE to the Gestapo. He's supposedly the message for masculinity. But if that is masculinity, then I'm a fucking alpha male. I mean, does Walz and the Democrats think men are just defective women or something? I mean, I don't know. He cheered on the drop of the value of Tesla stock, ignorant of the fact Minnesota's pension fund invests heavily in Tesla stock. Oh, and he presided over the Minneapolis riots where his wife liked the smell of a burning city. And a little publicized scandal known as Feeding Our Future that cost the government over $250 million in fraud. And gee, guess where those people are from? Certainly not Minnesota. They look kind of Somali to me. But Governor Jazz Hands has been out there and about strutting his fake masculinity throughout the country for some reason, although we all think we know what it is. He's going to run again in 2028. But anyway, that's it. I'll do this again at the end of November for the top 10 crazies for the second half of the year. Have a great day and a more pleasant tomorrow.